So I've never really seen anyone talk about how the discussion of quantum mechanics pushes one to be more of an atheist. So because I see that correlation, I'm going to make that video myself. So I think quantum mechanics pretty much reveals to us is that the state of our universe is pretty much just a mess all over the place, and it discounts any indication of an intelligent designer out there. So I'm going to bring up Schrodinger's cat because it's the well-used example in this conversation. So basically, imagine that there's a cat in a box, and it's both equally probable that once you open the box, the cat can either be dead or alive. But once you do open the box, there's only going to be one singular outcome. Once the wave function breaks, it'll reveal definitively whether or not this cat is dead or alive. So how do you make sense of it being both equally probable prior to, opening and finding the, singular wave function collapse of the cat's state, dead or alive? From what I've seen, the two common interpretations are mostly the Copenhagen interpretation and the many worlds interpretation. So what I understand from the Copenhagen interpretation is basically that all events in the universe are a tautology. So basically, you'll know when you know, but you won't understand how you actually know. And the universe itself is pretty much an oxymoron. It's such an oxymoron that I would understand how this brings the many worlds interpretation into play. So basically what Copenhagen interpretation tells me about measurements itself is that basically everything that we measure in the universe is limited to what it's actually trying to pick up, which is ironic because we attempt to measure in the hopes that we'll get a genuine, authentic, sort of observation. But sadly, that's not going to be the case. So that pushes me away from an intelligent designer, unless you want to say that your intelligent designer is having some kind of ADHD spiral about the reality in which they create. Then, okay, this is where we can simply get the many worlds interpretation, and I'll talk about that more. Okay, I don't think that the many worlds interpretation has to include a god, but all I'm saying is that if it incorporated God within a many worlds interpretation framework, then it would maybe be just slightly easier to understand the belief in one. So the many worlds interpretation definitely does put its money where its mouth is in terms of talking about how if you say that all probabilities are probable, then the only way to interpret it is that they must all be possible. The many worlds interpretation would obviously implement a B theory of time, which says that the past, the present, and the future are all equally in a circle based on all variations of events that may happen. So, like what I've said in a previous video, if you already exist within the universe, you're already a structure in the universe. If you're already a structure in the universe, then there was never a point in which you were created. You could not have been created if your past, present, and future infinitely exist in all kinds of forms.